Greetings, my fellow freeloaders and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Beehive State of Utah. And today's date, Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015. Yes, I'm in the mountain time range. And it's like almost the witching hour, midnight to be exact. Roughly 11:37 p.m. So I just decided to do another episode because I'm just had to do a few things and examine some of the links and people sharing information on the other social media networks, which is very appreciative. So it still continues in the city and county of Denver, Colorado, which is we can call Denver versus jury nullification. So this was done by townhall.com to be exact. Written by Jacob Sullum. It's entitled Denver's Unconstitutional Harassment of Jury Nullification Activists. The city treats handing out pamphlets near a courthouse as a crime. And let's just see what he has to say, shall we? And it says here, this Saturday is Jury Rights Day, which commemorates the 1670 acquittal of Quaker leader William Penn by English jurors who refused to convict him, even though he had clearly violated a ban on dissenting religious assemblies. Denver is celebrating the occasion by harassing activists who seek to inform the public about the principle embodied in Penn's acquittal, the rights of jurors to reject the enforcement of unjust law, aka jury nullification. Two local activists, Mark Iannicelli and Eric Brandt, distributed jury nullification pamphlets outside the Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse in Denver on July 27th. Denver District Attorney Mitch Morrissey charged each of them with 7 counts of jury tampering, a felony punishable by 1 to 3 years in prison. The 7 counts were based on pamphlets received by 7 jury pool members. Oh my goodness! Get out the air raid sirens. Yes, it eschews the true manhood of DA Mitch Morrissey for endangering jury candidates, which that's what pool members are. Oh my goodness. He shows how much of a man he really is. Wow. But I will continue on here, my friends. The statute cited by Morrissey makes it a crime to communicate with a juror outside of a judicial proceeding with the intent to influence the juror's vote, opinion, decision, or other action in a case. But neither Iannicelli nor Brandt is accused of trying to affect the outcome of any particular case. They were merely distributing general information about jury rights. Denver conceded such activity is constitutionally protected after David Land, the attorney who represents Iannicelli and Brandt, filed a First Amendment lawsuit on behalf of the 2 other activists and the Fully Informed Jury Association. The city stipulated that plaintiffs who wish to engage in peacefully passing out jury nullification literature to passerby on the courthouse plaza are entitled to do so. Denver promised it will not arrest or otherwise charge plaintiffs for handing out literature regarding jury nullification as long as pamphlets do not violate Colorado law or Denver's revised municipal code. The city added that plaintiffs' proposed intent of peacefully handing out jury nullification literature to or discussing any jury nullification with passerbys at the plaza without more does not violate Colorado law. That's right, dummy Morrissey. Dumbass. That's what DA stands for. Dumbass Morrissey. And I hate using this particular language, but this is just an insult of how much of a real American he is. He is just another bellboy. to the establishment. Yes, master. Yes, master. I won't serve the people. I'll serve you. And here's one thing to the DA Morrissey. Have you read Article 2 of your state constitution entitled Bill of Rights? It proves one thing. You are dumbed down. You're a dumbed down attorney. You should repent by dropping the charges or make a total fool out of yourself. And there's two things people can do. Recall or the elections. I believe the election is every 4 years as DA in Denver. If I'm more correct, 2016. If you're gonna seek re-election, I recommend you don't, unless you drop the charges. And I will continue on here. Does that mean Morrissey plans to drop the jury tampering charges against NSLE and Brandon? Not according to Lim Kimborough, Morrissey's public information officer. Their charges still stand, she says. They weren't arrested for passing out literature. They were certainly have free speech to do that. Yeah, liar, liar, pants on fire. Rather, says Kimborough, they were arrested for suspicion of jury tampering. Suspicion, kinda, sort of. It's the only way. Kinda, sort of, will get us through the day. Another sumptuous object in the Denver's county's office. Thank you, Kimborough. A sumptuous woman, right? They were arrested on suspicion of jury tampering. When I asked her to explain the difference between what Denver deems a crime and what recognized as constitutionally protected activity, she says she can't comment on the details of a pending criminal case. It seems activists who don't want to get arrested will just have to guess where that line is. Assumption, kind of sort of the only way to go. And I will continue on here. The speech-chilling uncertainty was compounded by an incident that happened last week. The day after U.S. District Judge William J. Martinez issued an injunction protecting Fija pamphleteers. Police descended upon Eric Verlo and Janet Matson, the two activists who had sought the injunction, as they and several associates were passing out Fija literature at the courthouse. According to the motion filed by Lane, who asked Martinez to hold Denver Police Chief Robert C. Wright in contempt of court, the cops seized all literature regarding joint nullification, including about 1,000 pamphlets, a small shade shelter, a table, 4 chairs, buckets, a cooler, signs, and other items. He added that the officers even attempted to take personal property such as purses, computers, backpacks, and other items from the activists, but the pamphleteers resisted the attempt by the police to steal their personal property. So I can say this to Denver police and their so-called stooge, allegedly, Police Chief Robert C. White. You want me to send you a I Love Maltese sung button? Because as far as I'm concerned, you've earned it, chump. And I hate using this language. I know I get a little bit emotional, but I am trying to be sincere as well. So, because there are times, my friends, they just want to be ignorant. They say, ignorant, the law is no excuse. You throw it right back at their faces. Ignorance of the Constitution, both U.S. and Denver and Colorado Constitution, is no excuse. You're not special. You're not above everybody else. Now we'll continue on here. The city says the seized items constituted illegal encumbrances of the right-of-way under Denver's municipal code. Although the code does not define that term, a photo Lane submitted along with his motion show Valero et al. Were not obstructing traffic in or out of the courthouse. Only plausible explanation for this is that the police were acting in retaliation for the exercise of free speech rights of the pamphleteers. Lane writes, it seems Denver is willing to tolerate jury nullification activists in theory, but not in practice. And I gotta say this because I'm glad Mr. Solom from townhall.com taking the initiative. I'm writing this, and because this is fantastic, even though Town Hall is a conservative site, but when it comes to your rights as a jury, it goes to all political spectrums rather than left or right and in between. As far as I'm concerned, the people in Denver should start calling these vultures out. Ask Chief Robert C. White, how's it feel being a bend-over Bob to the system, sir? See how he reacts to it, and ask the police officers, are you proud to be Uncle Toms and Aunt Jemimas of the system? Are you a bunch of yes people? Okay, boss. Okay, boss. That's how you gotta start doing it, with love and finesse. Like, don't just be angry and scream and yell at them and wish them they're dead or threaten them. You gotta do it with love and in good faith. It's planting those seeds of freedom and principle towards these individuals. And of course, the DA attorney Morseri, another, I would say, breacher. He breaches oath of office, and that violates Article 12, Section 8 of Colorado's Constitution. You know, I might just put that in there, just for the state constitution. You can look it up yourselves, and definitely look at Article 2 of that document, which is under Bill of Rights, because everything in there is prima facie, and they're saying, they violated the ordinance or crime codes. You know what? People like that, you just gotta give them a muzzle. When I say penile microphone, it's not in the sexual desire. Okay, it's just an insult to injury. Insult the intelligence of all the great individuals in that state and the county of Denver as well. There's a lot of smart, like-minded folks out there. I know that for a fact. When you get these clowns trying to tell you can't do this, you can't do that, laugh at them. Tell them, are you a comedian? See how they react to it, or don't say a damn thing. You have the right to remain silent. It's time for the Denver Police Department to become peace officers again, rather than deputies of Nottingham. Because I know one thing for sure: what they're doing, in my view, is racketeering the people's freedoms. It's not even if you're not an activist on jury nullification or handing out flyers. Even your right to free speech is affected as well. And this is why I let people know how I really feel without using vulgarity. So, it's going to blow back in their faces, I guarantee you that. And Jacob Solom did a great job giving the thumbs up on this article. So, definitely, folks, if you're in Colorado, start talking about jury nullification, even across the United States of America, because it could affect all of us within the states of the Union. Exercise your rights to think freely and do your lectures on jury nullification. I have an episode I've done last year on it on my Spreaker account, Spreaker page, and you can look it up. It's great information. I put plenty of links on it. Like I do, I put all my footnotes in there. So definitely check it out. Don't be shy, or go to check out FIJA as well. So I'm going to make that attempt to add the Colorado Constitution and FIJA again, FIJA.org. So people have to know what you can be as a juror, and in addition, you let these vultures know. Any tyrant, you tell them, butt out, keep out. My rights are natural born. Your position just supersedes nothing. Plain and simple. And I'm going to be done with this. I'm saying good faith, I am done with this. I could rant on here all day long, but I've done what was believed it's right. And here's something interesting. It happened, I would say August 29th. I got this today from a gentleman named Mark Eckert, and it came out on westbocanews.com, and this is pretty cool. And it says here, Warren West Boca News founder arrested in Coral Gables checkpoint. So, Roran Redlick is his name. And as it reads here, There's a photo of him being handcuffed. Officer Diaz of Coral Gables PD places handcuffs on Warren Redlick, founder of West Boca News and Fair DUI. Image from YouTube and video of Carl Smittle, founder of PNAC. Yes, I was arrested last week in Coral Gables. A few hours later, I was unarrested. The view of my arrest is near the bottom of this article, but first there's a backstory. Scroll all the way down if you just want to see the arrest. As many of our readers know, I'm a criminal defense and personal injury attorney. I'm also a civil rights activist. Earlier this year, I received national attention for my approach to handling checkpoints and traffic stops. And he has a book published in 2013 called Fair DUI. And what you can do, there's a link for that. And of course, the book is sold fairly well on Amazon, has excellent reviews, so check it out. After writing the book, ask a lot of questions about how to handle encounters with police and traffic stops. One of the big questions was how to remain silent. It sounds simple, but it's not so easy to do. In response, I came up with DUI flyer. It said, and the flyer says here, I remain silent, no searches, I want my lawyer. Please put any tickets under the windshield wiper. I am not required to sign under Section 318, subsection 2. I am not required to hand you my license on Statute 322.15. Thus, I am not opening my window. I will comply with clearly stated lawful orders. There you go. And it says here, some of my activist friends started using them in checkpoints. I did one myself in Miami last year, and it went well. This video has been viewed over 100,000 times. The story got bigger when my activist friends used it in a checkpoint on New Year's Eve west of Gainesville. The video has now been viewed over 3.2 million times on YouTube alone. It blew up, leading to national news coverage, starting with Blaze.com, eventually leading to Fox News, CBS News, The Washington Post, etc. I became #1 trending story on Facebook. And I will continue on here. In the heat of the moment, we received some threats of arrest by local sheriffs, but their comments were vague and often just plain stupid. Some said drivers have to talk to police, rejecting their right to remain silent. After publicity died down, we learned that police departments and prosecutors were discussing how to respond, and this led to my arrest in Coral Gables. One key feature of my approach is that you don't have to roll down your window. Florida law requires you to exhibit or show your license to police. It does not require to hand it over. I recommend to people to keep the window closed and press the license up against the window. Some prosecutors and police legal advisors decided to fudge that law. Statute 322.15 of the Florida statutes and claim that you are required to hand it over. The Coral Gables legal advisor, attorney Israel Reyes, went further and recommended that anyone who refused to physically hand over their license to be arrested for a misdemeanor, resisting without violence. City attorney adopted this recommendation and became formal policy. That document is below. And here is funny, there's a download for that. And let's just check this out. Yeah. Oh yeah, it shows it right here. And it's 34 pages long, so there's a link for that. So definitely check it out if you live in the great state of Florida. Especially in Coral Gables. You gotta really push those Yahoo's buttons. However, I will continue on here. Mr. Reed and his friends missed a key point from law school. We are trained to read the whole statute. Subsection 4 of 322.15 says that as a violation of it is not criminal traffic infraction, punishable as a moving violation. You can't arrest someone for that. You can't charge someone for a misdemeanor or crime when the legislature defends it is non-criminal. I talked about this video I made about 322.15. So as an activist, when I heard that the Coral Gables was doing a checkpoint, I had to go to test them to see if the officers would allow this unlawful order from their bosses. You can see my arrest in the video below. While I like to think of myself as a hero of the story, the real hero is Sergeant Alejandro Escobar. He followed orders when he arrested me, and about 3 hours later he unarrested me and gave me a ticket. In a good story, the hero learns from experience and grows. I don't know what happened for sure, but I think Sergeant Escobar figured out something was going on and made an effort to understand why I was doing and why. In the end, he went against his department's policy, against his orders, and only issued me a ticket. Coming soon, I will be suing Coral Gables in federal court over this incident. It is not about money. While there would be a monetary claims, they are small. No one was shot. I did suffer nerve damage to my thumb from the handcuffs, but it is minor, has nearly already healed. The goal is to get a federal judge to make sure that the police follow the law, including 322.15 as well as the Supreme Court cases on checkpoints. Those who are considering using the fair DUI flyer should be aware that I went further in this incident than I recommend for others. Most people should obey orders from the police, even if they're unlawful orders. So it was a little test. I've seen the video on this, and Escobar, you have to give him homage on that, so, but other officers need to follow what Escobar did. You gotta go what is legit and on its face, prima facie. And you can even look at these statues yourselves. So don't hesitate. So what I might be doing, I might just check this out here. I might just, let me see. Yeah, 318.14, subsection 2. Yeah, definitely look that up on the Florida statutes if you live in the state of Florida. You can really read this yourself. The whole goal for my show, what I do is educate people as well and give them footnotes. Also, that's what we're doing, just passing, spreading information. If people here who listen to my show long enough understand where I'm coming from. Be polite, be vigilant, honorably vigilant. Okay, that's the name of the game. Instead of screaming, yelling, cursing at the cops and wishing they were effing dead, is totally unacceptable. Don't follow those clowns that's telling you they're going to go kill white cops and all that. That's right there, as far as I'm concerned, they're nothing more than mind-controlled demonoids or provocateurs. Hired thugs, provocateurs. So, but definitely, I'm glad Escobar had a conscience. And this is what we got to do. Send this information to anyone that you know who are police officers. Because they can learn and better themselves. And there's a lot of times they get involved with these BS platforms of victimless crime laws, like feeding the homeless. But this is just an example. Enlighten them, and you can spread that knowledge around everywhere in your community. Even if people live in Gables, I encourage that. Because I could tell you a good story. When one time a bunch of us, it was December 9th, 2007. It was on a Sunday. We're doing some rally with Ron Paul. We found out that Rudy Giuliani was at the Holiday Inn right across the street from the UM. So we marched down. We parked a few blocks away. We marched down and started blasting the Giuliani. And he heard us in the lobby. So what was funny, the funniest thing was when he came out, someone yelled, a rat came out of his hole. And I was trying to ask Giuliani a certain question about his right to bear arms and how come he never taken the initiative on attempt to repeal the Sullivan Act of 1911. Which is a gun control bill, a law, that if you own an unregistered handgun in your home, it's a misdemeanor, or if you have one on you in your vehicle, that's considered a felony offense, a victimless crime law, which really went after, focused on the blacks, the Italians, and Jewish immigrants. So when I just did my little rant, And I go, never, that's not out of spite or malice, but all in good faith. And he kept going. I went, thereafter, have a very pleasant Sunday. Then the Coral Gables police showed up. And they went to the hotel manager. She just wigged out, telling them we were protesting and all that. And they didn't get mad. They were smiling by saying, hey, folks, can you please go to the corner? I'm like, yeah, sure. Because we were done anyway. Then one of my colleagues that were with us, chat with them, and he said, on behalf of the Coral Gables Police Department, they thanked us for protesting against Giuliani because they know they all know that SOB screwed over their brothers up in New York. So that's just some intellectual ammunition. Share information. And that's why with something like this, you can do that too. So definitely, that's the whole thing. Not going after the police, but share this out of principle. That is the key. Because too many people out there being like bone fetchers. Okay? And that's a sham. And that's why I tell people, like even those so-called politicians and so forth want to use the police to do their dirty work. I want to see if they're man enough to do this on their own without the police assistance. Let's see how far they go. They won't do it because they're a bunch of lazy butts, or other words, asses. And I say that out of love. But I'm just enough ranting on that. Next one here is really interesting. Came out from Nevada. Family fights over government property near Area 51. It was published it's by Glenn Meek and Kyle Zaluki. It was updated. It was published August 31st and updated on September 2nd. Talked about they had this mining camp near the secret base of Area 51, finally speaking out, keeping their silence more than 60 days. So what I'm going to do is have you hear the video yourselves. Give you my review.
It's me again, and I'm here at J&J Garden Center in Layton for their annual fall extravaganza. Right now, I'll tree shrubs. Family says their home's been bombed and strafed by the U.S. government, and now the military is trying to force them off their own land.
The family has owned a mining camp overlooking the secret base at Area 51 for decades. Tonight, they're finally speaking out after keeping their silence for more than 60 years.
The Sheehan family spoke exclusively with the I-Team's Glenn Meek, who brings us their remarkable story. It may be one of the last great untold stories of the Cold War. It's a tale of what happens when family, history, and national security collide. In what may be the final act of a Cold War drama playing out in the Nevada desert, a family is poised to lose land they have held in this state since Ulysses Grant was president. Here is part of their story, and what they say has been decades of abuse at the hands of their own government. By now, most people have probably heard of the secret base hidden in the Nevada desert known as Area 51. But what you may not know is there is a privately owned lead and silver mine overlooking the classified base. From our great-grandfather to our grandfather, our fathers, they were raised there. They lived there. This was their home. The Groom Mine has been in the Sheehan family for 130 years. Since government testing started in the mid-1950s, the family has had one of the nation's most closely guarded defense installations literally in their backyard. They have never spoken about it publicly, until now.
Well, first, we really didn't want to have to come public. But
but the Air Force has forced us into it. And we want them to know that what they have done over the last 60 years to our family is not acceptable. These were fired over our property.
The Sheehan say their buildings were strafed and bombed by military planes in the 40s and 50s, and they believe it was an errant bomb or dropped wing tank that blew up their mill in 1954, ending production at the mine.
My grandfather and grandmother, Dan and Martha Sheehan, were destroyed by the actions of this government.
And we have some evidence that they absolutely were the culprits in that, and it was never addressed. They literally ran our grandparents out of money trying to fight them.
They have driven away prospective business partners and told them, if you buy the place or try to operate it, we are going to condemn it, you're going to lose your money.
In recent decades, the government has withdrawn large tracts of land around Area 51 and posted sentries to keep prying eyes off the base.
We've been illegally searched. I was threatened to be arrested on a trip when I was going out one time.
The guard told them that they wouldn't hesitate to shoot them. They held people at gunpoint. They withdrew 89,000 acres of land, surrounded our property, made us an island.
But 6 years before that, they placed a security shack on the road that our grandfather built for access to our own property and started requiring us to go through their checkpoints.
This map shows the location of the Groom mine in connection with the former nuclear test site, the Nellis Gunnery Range, and Area 51, which today are under the same defense agency umbrella. But these secure areas grew up around the Sheehan's mine, which has been in the family since Ulysses Grant was president.
And we're not saying what they're doing is unimportant and doesn't need to be protected. We get it, but we've been there alongside these people since 1955.
Right. And the truth is, as we talked about often, is you can get more view of what's going on that base through Google Earth and pictures that are out there all over the internet now that we haven't put out there.
And what we're hoping is that our representatives say enough's enough. They need to step in and they need to fix this.
Now, citing the incompatibility of private land in the middle of defense testing, the Air Force is essentially giving the Sheehans an ultimatum. Accept a $5.2 million buyout for the 400 acres in their possession, or face having the land condemned and taken through eminent domain. The Sheehans find the offer insulting.
I mean, that's really what we're talking about. Is it okay to bomb your citizens, hold them at gunpoint, and then, to add insult to injury, just steal their property?
The Sheehans say the Air Force offer doesn't even cover the value of the minerals in the mine, let alone the family's close connection to the land, where forebears not only toiled, but died.
Either give us our property, leave us alone, or pay us what you pay us.
The Sheehans have until September 10th to accept the offer from the Air Force.
So, isn't it ironic that on September 11th, the United States government is going to finish the last act of what can only be described as a criminal act to take our property on September 11th? I just find that ironic. It's sad.
Glenn Meek, 8 News Now.
The Sheehan say they have documents to support their assertions about having buildings shot up or blown up by the Air Force. They want everyone to know they consider themselves patriots and they respect the Air Force, but they believe the Air Force's offer is woefully inadequate. We also reached out to the Air Force for comment, and though a spokesman did not return Glenn's call, the Air Force did issue a press release on Friday saying security and safety issues have made it impossible to continue with civilian ownership of private land in the test area. You can read the full statement on our website. The Sheehans disagree that the Air Force has been reasonable. They plan to fight their cause in Congress, possibly in court, and certainly in the court of public opinion.
Speaking of that, there's a link in the bottom of that article which will take you to the Nellis Air Force Base. Came out, August 28th, and it says here, Air Force seeks negotiated settlement for property on test range. Release number 280815. Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada. The Air Force has submitted its final offer to purchase private property within the boundaries of the Nevada Test and Training Range. The land has become increasingly greater safety and security risk as demands for test and training opportunities have increased. The Air Force attempted to conduct operations while the owners used the property for decades, much of it amicably. However, over the past several years, as the desired activities of the family and the operations of the NTTR have become less and less compatible. The property locations inside the NTTR and the increase in national security demands have made it impossible for the Air Force to test and train securely and safely while civilians are present. We are hopeful the family will accept our final offer to purchase roughly 100 acres of owned property and about 300 acres of unpatented mine claims for $5.2 million, said Jennifer Miller, Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Air Force. For installations, we understand the landowner's connections to the land, but we also consider demands of national security. Hallelujah, 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 yay. Oh, hail to the government. Sieg hail, and I will pursue here. This recent offer marks the end of a series of meetings with the landowners in an effort to negotiate a purchase price for the property. The Air Force has worked hard to be responsible neighbors by actively working with the landowners and local neighbors to ensure our evolving missions and communities grew in a compatible, mutually beneficial manner, said Colonel Thomas Dempsey, Commander, Nevada Test and Training Range Wing. But in this case, the Air Force has exhausted all reasonable options to reach a settlement with the landowners, Dempsey said. As the activities as the active stewards of ensuring national security and protecting the environment, purchasing the land will allow them to safely execute the mission and secure a site for the family to continue to visit. Aw, how cute. Yeah, right. I just go to the bathroom. The NTTR supports the Department of Defense Advanced Composite Force Training, Tactic Development, and Electronic Combat Testings, as well as the DoD and the Department of Energy Testing, Research, and Development. The range hosts numerous red flag and U.S. Air Weapons School exercises each year, as well as the various test and tactics development missions. The Nevada Test and Training Range is a unique national asset because the size and remoteness of the area enables military tests and training activities that cannot be completed in other national training areas, Dempsey said. Over the years, national security demands and technology development have increased demand for the Nevada Test and Training Range assets, and the Air Force has developed infrastructure that directly supports ranges activities and that cannot be replicated elsewhere. Test and training customers fund manpower, travel, and range support costs to execute their planned missions. When those missions are canceled to address safety and security risks caused by incompatible land use, much of the funding is already spent, but the test or training customer does not execute their mission and must schedule and fund another time. On the range, he said, more than 40,000 sorties are flown over the range each year, and national security demands and forecasted to increase that number. Mission cancellations on the NTTR due to incompatible land use cost millions of tax dollars per year. Dempsey said these lost opportunities and delays result in increased national security costs to the taxpayer. The NTTR is the largest contiguous air and ground space available for peacetime military operations, occupying 2.9 million acres of land, 5,000 square miles of airspace, which is restricted from civilian air traffic overflight, and another 7,000 square miles of military operating, which is shared with civilian aircraft. Well. That's it. Only $5.2 million. I find that unacceptable, and we all know one thing for sure: our tax dollars at work in the name of tyranny. Hate to say that because we're facing this information, and And what's been happening is nothing more than a monumental deception. They've been having this land for a good long time, and now they bomb some of the spaces, but that's okay. Yes, the tyrannical way, but definitely, I just hope if this continues that they will fight and win. There's other links on here too about the explosion at the mine, affidavit on bombing practice near the Groom mine, and they try to win. Like I said, it's like it's like all transcribed, so you can make your own judgment. And technically, how I see this too is it reminds me of the Bundy case. Ted Bundy case. So, but when that area got bombed, remnants got bombed, and then now they want to say they want to condemn it. Yeah, because you bombed your property. You know what? How about if we go to your place and bomb it, or use it as an outhouse? Will you like it? No. How about if we just crap on your families? Will you like it? No. Because right there, you're nothing more than tyrannical scumbags. Plain and simple, and I don't care who you serve. I am pro-defense, yes, but this one here is what they're doing is unmeritable, null and void. And another thing too, my friends, what this family can do, all right, what the Sheenan family can do is to take action under Title 42. U.S. Code Section 1983 to be compensated on their rights being violated, constitutional rights being violated, property rights, not just on a federal level, but even on a state level, because even the state constitution talks about property rights and Declaration of Rights. But I'm not going to add that. You can just look it up yourselves and you can make your own judgment. But this is, like I said, is nothing more to me what the United States, the Air Force is doing is nothing more than a deception. And people don't like it, too bad. But please, if you disagree, have a meritable refutal. And then we can have a cool discussion on it. All right. Well, check this out. I think KBR. It says here, KBR, this is from Professional Overseas Contractors, Europoc.com. It says here, contract award, KBR Inc. awarded log cap contract in Kuwait for logistics, operations, and maintenance support. They're the ones who are building more prison camps for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, okay? And it says here, KBR has been awarded and cost plans fee task order in the Arabian Peninsula under the Logistics Civil Augmentation Program for contract, which LOGCAP, this is Anchorman. This task order will provide logistics, operations, and maintenance support for the U.S. Army across 8 sites in Kuwait. Upon direction of the U.S. government, services can be expanded to other countries in the Arabian Peninsula region. Could we say, all hail to the empire, Caesar still lives on? Okay, and we will continue on here. Of course, KBR is currently executing LOGCAP task force in the United Arab Emirates and Iraq. We are excited to be part of this significant program and to continue to grow and maintain a substantial presence in the Middle East region, said Andrew Pringle, president of KBR's Government Services segment. Yes, he is saying that, yes, I like the New World Order. I do support imperialism. You don't understand that pressure I'm in. Okay, and it says here, this work is expected to be performed over one base year with 3 option years. Requirements will focus on facility management, theater of transportation and movement control, waste and sewage management, and airfield operation services. KBR's LOGCAP 4 transmission team for the segment is already on the ground in Kuwait and has begun coordination for a seamless startup. The contract value was not disclosed. Revenue associated with this contract will be booked into backlog of KBR's government services business segment in the third quarter of 2015. Work execution on his contract began on August 12, 2015, with the completion expected in the last quarter of 2019. As it says here about KBR Inc. KBR Inc. is a global technology, engineer, procurement, and construction company serving the hydrocarbons and government service industries and employing approximately 25,000 people worldwide, with customers in more than 70 countries and operations in 40 countries across 3 distinct businesses. Hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. And it's interesting too, because they have there's some articles related to this post. He got a contract for $41 million for aircraft maintenance support service in Kuwait. They have one for $6 million for GLODCAP support services in Kuwait and Afghanistan. And they have one for $6.5 for maintenance and logistics services in support of KC-30J in Kuwait. And they have another one here, contract award for GLODCAP support services, Afghan, Kuwait, Iraq, and Bahrain. And of course, they have one for $11 million to perform operations and maintenance on Kuwait low altitude service systems class in Kuwait. So that's what it means. Kuwait low altitude surveillance system is a increment class in Kuwait. That's what I'm saying. Long live the empire. And we all know too about KBR does have are involved with FEMA. You can look that up. It should be in there. So it's really disturbing, my friends, because all it is just a one world order platform. Okay, going through many countries and all that, and I just find this pretty damn ludicrous. So hey, that's why, my friends, I am against an empire, and I'm very damn proud of it. And the neocons don't like it, too bad. And I don't care what you think, friend or foe. But definitely, this has to stop. It's completely unacceptable. So, on the contrary, I'm going to hit the next one here. This is from Energy News. And this one here is entitled Skyrockets Deaths on West Coast Experts, Extreme Mortality Event, Dying in such high numbers, with such great numbers, very concerned. It is so mysterious. What is going on here? Possibilities like fallout from Fukushima, 2 full necropsies on 700 deaths. Did a video for that. So this is a transcript. There you go. I'm just gonna read this in a moment. It's a little delay on the Wi-Fi, and I'm like, good grief! Oh my goodness, right? And then oh, yep, sorry about that. And as it reads, VOA transcript, September 1st, 2015, sharp rise in whale deaths being investigated. Since May 30th, dead whales have washed ashore on the Gulf of Alaska. Deborah Frager from NOAA, and the average for the whole year generally is 8, so it's definitely significantly elevated, and for us, there was a reason for concern. The extreme mortality event, as scientists are calling it, has triggered an investigation. Huffington Post, September 1st, 2015, radiation in the ocean. The west coast of the United States seems under siege by negative environmental news and numerous accounts of the unusual coastal events, algae blooms, whale standings, cancer in seals, collapse of fish stocks, and more. One argument has been the effect of radiation leaking from the Fukushima nuclear plant reactor and has been thereafter distributed by 100 currents. Indeed, there's evidence of a plume increased concentration of cesium-134 and other radioactive elements that have been observed at unprecedented levels, spreading out of some 5,000 miles into the Pacific. In April of this year, there are headlines declaring that Fukushima radiation has reached the North American shore, and concerns were raised, spread through the internet and press. There was surely the cause of these otherwise inexplicable anomalous natural events. There is no federal agency that funds monitoring of radiation in coastal water. So yes and no. No definite conclusion. No clear argument that the radiation is the case of these coastal events or distress out. So question is immensely important. A+, August 27, 2015, the story behind this picture. So mysterious scientists are scratching their heads. What is going on here? The number has skyrocketed. 30 whales spanning at least 4 species have been found. NOAA, fisheries scientists and partners are very concerned about the large number of whales standing in the western Gulf Coast of Alaska. In recent months, Dr. Terry Rolls of NOAA said these enormous gorgeous animals are dying in such high numbers, and there's like light blue colors. You can actually, there's links for it, and you have one here from VOA, September 1st, 2015. While President Obama is in Alaska, he might have this question: why 30 dead whales wash ashore? NOAA's Fakir said that the extreme mortality event was complicated. Fakir noted that in the ocean, toxins move up the chain. Some of the whales actually filter the phytoplankton and the zooplankton. These get toxins through that method. As you go higher up the food web, more toxins get concentrated. NOAA hopes to explain why the whales died and why they perished in such great numbers. Cordova Times, August 28th, 2015. Whales, 30 dead whales, and no one knows why. When 30 of them die in 4 months, 3 times the usual rate, something's not right. Between 700 deaths over the year, scientists have managed to perform 2 necropsies for this particular event. They've done 1 limited necropsy while they keep an eye on algae. They all have been testing all possibilities like fallout from Fukushima. And while they did radiation testing as part of the limited autopsy, it came back with background levels that would not occur normally in Alaska, said Julie Spiegel, speaking on behalf of NOAA. This one here, Newsweek, August 27, 2015. Over the last few months, dead whales have been appearing regularly on the beaches along northern California coast. In the same period, 30 whale carcasses have washed up along the coast of Alaska. Puzzling scientists. Nothing more. August 30th, 2015, Washington Post, August 30th, 2015. Concerns mount as whales are found dead. And I had a delay here. Sorry about that, folks. And I said here, Washington Post, concerns mount as whales are found dead in the Gulf of Alaska. Researchers are scrambling to determine what's behind the death of 30 whales. Other dead whales have been reported off the coast of British Columbia. Starvation or disease could be behind the deaths. The more likely culprit is unusual water conditions. NPR, September 1st, 2015. Researchers say record low oxygen levels in Hood Canal are causing marine life to die off. Marine life is struggling to survive. We have been seeing lots and lots of dead fish on beaches. And Seth Book, but Squamish Tribe's Department of Natural Resources, this is really the worst year in terms of oxygen, said Jan Newton, an oceanography professor at the University of Washington. There are broadcasts links on here as well. So just to give you folks a heads up, VOA, RT, and NPR are talking about these. And there's our related posts here as well. You can all look at. Okay, looks like it's a little delay here as usual. And come on, work with me. I don't need that. Don't give me that crap. Excuse me. It's not responding. Typical. But it's interesting. It's the main idea. I am real convinced with when the whole tsunami earthquake happened in northern Japan, when and the place got the area got flooded near Fukushima's power plant. It really scared the daylights out of me when it hit that, when they had these nuclear power plants on the fault line. There's some people may say they have these conspiracy claims that they had a weather earthquake bomb and so forth, but I don't know how accurate that is. I'm going to do a little more research. I'm pretty open on these areas, but I'm not going to spew it completely. But the fact is, Japan is the most, one of the most active areas in the Pacific, in the world, especially because their fault line is along within the ring of fire. I've been there, and this time I feel a building swaying, 6 in the morning, and so it is very scary, But now with this earthquake, with this earthquake that happened, and I had videos of it. You go to my Facebook page, I had a video section talking about the aftermath of the earthquake and tsunami. And I'd say one thing: the two reporters, that place is very potent right now with cesium. So, and the Pacific coastline, they have there's a lot of things. The nature has to really got to clean it up. And this has been affecting even up in the air, with the air, because the jet stream picked up the radiation, in the clouds, and it rained, and it affected the weather. It affected the rain and all that. It was there's video footage on that, and even along Alberta and British Columbia during the rain. And I told folks, man, it's not gonna be pretty. So, but definitely, people out in that Pacific coast, please, I beseech you, take care of your health. You get some good kelp to fight this radiation, and even the iodine. Not this powdered crap, but very good stuff that needs to be for your health, especially for the children. Because what happens is the cells are still developing, and in a period of time they get certain diseases, like leukemia is a very good example. It happened with Chernobyl as well. This is really affecting the whole Pacific coastline and possibly the world. So, and that's why when people ask me about going to California and all that, I bring a Geiger counter with me, beep, 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 But something that has to be done, and please, folks, take care of your health to the best of your ability. Pay attention. Get those Geiger counters, go out there, because there's even some doctors say you should avoid that area immediately. Get your families out. Get the hell out of there. And there's some claims that you're better off just going in the southern hemisphere. All right, because based on the potency of these, of the impact what happened with the nuclear fallout in Fukushima. So I'm going to be pursuing here for a moment. So hang tight for one moment. Looks like I got a little delay. All right, sorry for the delay there. There's enough on that subject, on the whole thing with Fukushima and the contamination of the Pacific Ocean and how it's affecting the marine life. And this one just got from a colleague of mine on Facebook. She sent me, actually didn't send, but she posted on her website, on her page, and it's from military.com. This one's entitled, Pentagon now says Army mistakenly sent live anthrax to all 50 states. And this is by Richard Sisk, came out the first. Came out the first to be exact, and it says here, Deputy Defense Secretary Bob Work has repeatedly said the scandal of the military's mistaken shipment of live anthrax spores around the nation and the world will get worse, and he was right. Number of labs that received live anthrax has more than doubled to 194 since Work and Frank Kendall, the Pentagon's top acquisition official, released a report in July on the shipment of deadly pathogen of the Army's Dugway Proving Grounds in Utah. The number of states receiving live anthrax is almost more than doubled to include all 50 states and Washington, D.C., plus Guam, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. The number of countries that receive live anthrax went up from 7 to 9. Japan, United Kingdom, Korea, Australia, Canada, Italy, Germany, Norway, and Switzerland, according to Pentagon's updated accounting of the shipments through September 1st. There has been no deaths or serious illness reported from the military's 10-year program to ship anthrax to private military labs for testing to develop vaccines and detection devices, according to the Defense Department. However, at least 31 military and civilian personnel were treated with antibiotics as a precaution after a lab in Maryland discovered in May that supposedly irradiated anthrax sample contained live spores. Since early May, the number of labs and facilities known to receive live anthrax has significantly expanded. On June 1st, during a visit to Vietnam, Defense Secretary Ashton Carter pledged to find out who was responsible for shipping the anthrax and hold them accountable. At the time, the Pentagon said that the live anthrax has gone to 24 labs, 11 states, and 2 countries. The Pentagon boosted the count on June 10th, saying it was 68 labs in 19 states and 4 countries. When the department issued its 30-day review of the scandal on July 23rd, Work said, "We know over the past 12 years, 86 laboratories in 20 states, the District of Columbia, and 7 foreign countries ultimately received that were supposedly inactivated spores that originated at Dugway." The Work called the incident at Dugway's and throughout the system a massive institutional failure. He said then that he expected the numbers to climb as the Centers for Disease Control investigated for possible secondary shipments by the primary lab which received anthrax shipments. According to the latest Pentagon count, 88 primary labs received live anthrax and shared it with 106 secondary labs for a total of 194 labs. The samples were from the so-called Ames strain, a particularly virulent form of the bacteria used in the 2001 anthrax attacks. After letters containing the substance were sent to the offices of news media and U.S. lawmakers, 5 people were killed and 17 others were infected. Bruce Ivins, a shipment microbiologist, committed suicide after authorities were preparing to charge him in the case. The Pentagon's review released in July said the low numbers of live spores found in inactivated DoD samples did not expose a risk to the general public. Nonetheless, the shipment of live BA, which is Bacillus anthracis, samples outside of the select agent program restrictions at any concentration is a serious breach of regulations. So Richard Sisk done this, and this is pretty confoundedly annoying for sure. Why the hell you want to make all these these germ warfare antidotes and pass them around, and something happens and people are going to suffer? Can suffer. I believe the one they're going to try to find responsible will just be a scapegoat, and the ones that were thoroughly involved will wipe their hands clean. This is just my alleged viewpoint. I'm not going after the military or not whatsoever. But he's going to have these little dirty elements, criminal elements that will will pick a patsy. And hopefully I'm wrong. Absolutely. It's because what you're doing is jeopardizing everybody. Everyone. Including your own comrades. And I just find this completely unacceptable with these little nuclear germ warfare ingredients. This is why I tell folks these are useless weapons. For sure. But like I said before, folks, take care of your healths. It is essential, and do it with honor. And I'm not gonna keep ranting on this. I just did enough as I speak. And this next one here came from the GOPDailyDose.com. As it says here, stalk them and kill them. Farrakhan says calling for 10,000 volunteers to kill whites. And this is written by Clyde. And let's see what they had to say here. The Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan addresses the audience at a Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C., June 24, 2015. Farrakhan met with local leaders to discuss the upcoming Million Man March on October 10, 2015. Farrakhan said it was time to pull down the American flag in June. Now he's saying it is a time for blacks to kill whites. Farrakhan has been traveling the U.S. for Justice or Else tour. This is from the Christian Examiner in Miami, in a sermon resonant of the fiery rhetoric of an Islamic State preacher. Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, 82, said in Miami, the time has come for 10,000 black volunteers to kill white Americans. Death is sweeter than watching us slaughter each other to the joy of 400-year-old enemy. Death is sweet. The Quran teaches prosecution is worse than slaughter. That's his quote, Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam leader. In the sermon at Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church, Farrakhan said he was looking for 10,000 in the midst of the millions, 10,000 fearless men who say death is sweeter than continued life under tyranny, to retaliate against white Americans because their alleged oppression of black people. Farrakhan said the Quran calls for retaliation when slaves are oppressed. Retaliation is a prescription from God to calm the breast of those whose children have been slain. So if the federal government will not intercede in our affairs, then we must rise up and kill those who kill us. Stalk them and kill them, and let them feel the pain and death that we are feeling, Farrakhan said. So if the federal government will not intercede in our affairs, our children, while white folks give the killer hamburgers, Farrakhan said, referencing the arrest of Dylan Storm Roof, who killed 9 black church members at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, June 17th. His quote, "Death is sweeter than watching us slaughter each other to the joy of a 400-year-old enemy. Death is sweet. The Quran teaches prosecution is worse than slaughter." It's from the source Jews News. And sometimes they have to find out how accurate they are. And I will have to say this about Louis Farrakhan. As far as I'm concerned, his organization, the Nation of Islam, is funded. I mean, not funded, but they file a 501c3. Okay? They are a state religion organization. They compromise their First Amendment right. As far as I'm, don't get me wrong, some of the views of Farrakhan, he's spot on. I'm not gonna refute it. However, because I've heard this a few months ago, and I listened to some of the videos, I think it's on YouTube and all that. This man right now. He may be on his last leg, I'm not so sure, because he's aging pretty bad. Can he be a governmental agent? Possible. Can he be a bend over Bob to the New World Order? Maybe. But the whole thing what he's doing is playing a game of divide and rule, according to this article. It's a lot more than what it is. And this whole color division, people, is a total distraction. And it doesn't matter what you look like. Race, color, creed, gender, etc. It's like everything you hear about too, even with killing the cops, like I said I said it earlier. This is nothing more than a mind-controlled distraction. Don't follow it. Don't abide by it. Resist it. Be like some of the people that refuse to salute to Adolf Hitler, and be one of those three gentlemen in ancient Judea or Babylon when everyone bowed down to the idols. The brothers refused to do it. Have those attributes. Be the maverick, the resistor, and defy all forms of tyranny. Well, that's why I use my religious views, demoniac resistance. Because this is a game they're playing. He's just another possible bellboy to the one world order. Divide and rule, my friends. That's what they want. They want to say the white people, the white devils, they deserve a penile microphone. Like saying Malcolm X has rough edges, but when he went to Mecca and saw the bigger picture of what Islam is about, that he was the greatest threat to that entity. If they were to let him live, Farrakhan would probably have to get another job, probably a Walmart greeter, including his disciples. Always contemplate for yourselves. Think critically. And be spiritually, honorably vigilant. That's all I have to say about his speech. And fortunately, if I was in Miami, I probably would be blasting him. And let him call me the white devil. I don't give a damn. I get inspired by that. Remember, there's a lot more of us than him. All of us can join forces, 10,000 plus strong, to say, to hell with your entity and go lick the boots of the one world order. So, that's all I have to say about him on that. And I'm not being Islamophobic. Next one here actually came from Reason.com. Hit and Run blog is entitled "Teen Boy Would Be Charged as Adult for Having Naked Pics of a Minor Himself." Kafka Esque Sexting Nightmares by Robbie Soave came out September 2nd. It says here, a North Carolina 17-year-old caught in a sexting scandal faces charges of sexually exploiting a minor that could land him in jail up to 10 years, since the law considered him an adult. But one of the minors he supposedly exploited is himself, which raises an obvious question: how can a teen be old enough to face adult felony charges, but not old enough to keep a nude picture of himself on his phone? Unfortunately, the Kafka Esque Nightmare, in which Fayetteville area high schooler Carnegie co-opening finds himself after exchanging private nude photos with his girlfriend, with whom he is legally allowed to have sex, but not to sext, which is S-E-X-T. I wrote about Coping's story on Tuesday. Since then, I've learned new information that makes the local sheriff's actions seem even more ludicrous. There's a link for that too on what he wrote on Tuesday. But first, to recap, Coping and his girlfriend, now identified as Brianna Denson, are like other teenagers, that they have more in passing interest in sex. Indeed, they were 16. They were exchanging racy, sexy photos via text message. Denson sent pictures of Copening, and Copening sent pictures to Denson. It appears that no one else saw the pictures until local authorities searched Copening's phone and discovered them. Ah, that's interesting. Can we say possible legal search and seizures? Why did they search his phone? It is not clear, but local news reports claim that it had nothing to do with his sex themselves. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office did not respond to requests for comment. According to FailObserver.com, there is no record of a search warrant being issued for Copening's phone. Both teens were charged with sexual exploitation. Denson pleaded guilty to a lesser charge and was given 12 months of probation. Copening, however, is still facing 2 counts of second-degree sexual exploitation and 3 counts of third-degree exploitation. As Ricochet's Tom Meyer points out, the third-degree charges, which constitute a majority of the total charges, actually stem from pictures Copening had of himself. The implication is clear. Copening does not own himself from the standpoint of the law and is not free to sexually provocative pictures, even if they depict his own body. But consider this: North Carolina is one of the 2 states in the country, the other is progressive New York, that considers 16 to be the age of adulthood for criminal purposes. This is the mean, of course, that Copening can be tried as an adult for exploiting a minor himself. I discovered when I asked Fayetteville Observer executive editor Mike Adams about his publication's decision to release the names of the teens, something countless other local news reports did as well. He explained to me that it is the company's policy to publish names of adults charged with felony crimes, which include Copening and Denson in this case. But the Observer didn't fully comprehend that Copening and Denson were also the victims, and by some bizarre quirk of the law, minors in a different sense, until after its original reporting on the issue had already been published. I don't think sexting was considered when this exploitation law was put on the books, Adams told me. Indeed, maybe the legislature should revisit the issue. In the meantime, there's still no excuse for local cops to pursue charges against Copening. They have already humiliated him and damaged him, perhaps irreversibly, as his high school football career over mildly worrisome behavior that should not constitute a crime. Cumberland County should exercise some discretion, perhaps some maturity as well, and let this matter go. Observers Paul Rubin also covered the insanity of North Carolina sexual exploitation law as applied in this case. And there's an excellent story here. And you know what? Let's just check it out. I'm going to check the story out. There's a link for that, and I'm real curious what it has to say. But this is just another, teens in love and so forth, which is a shame. And of course, you got Cumberland County Sheriff. North Carolina knows best. And like I said, every state has its pros and cons. And you don't want to tarnish someone's reputation, call them a pervert and all that. No. But always recommend to all the folks out there, minors and adults, to please don't take photos of yourselves naked on your cell phones, because it can backfire anytime. However, it says here by the FailObserver.com, North Carolina law: teens who take nude soft-file photos face adult sex charges. And they want me to answer a question for us. I skipped the survey. Good grief. What's next? You want to know if I'm straight? Of course I am. And it says here, by Tom Wolf and staff writer, after 16-year-old Fayetteville girl made a sexually explicit nude photo of herself for her boyfriend last fall, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office concluded that she committed 2 felony sex crimes against herself and arrested her in February. The girl was listed on a warrant as both the adult perpetrator and the minor victim of 2 counts of sexual exploitation of minor. second-degree exploitation for making her photo, and third-degree exploitation for having her photo in her possession. A conviction could have put the girl in prison and would have required her to register as a sex offender for the rest of her life. A plea bargain arranged for her in July should clear her record next summer. You think I want to buy that crap? Shoot. I'm going to stick it up their rectum, as far as I'm concerned. One moment. Boom. Okay, hold on here. A conviction could have put the girl in prison and would have required her... Okay, I already said that. With growing popularity of sexting among teens, two researchers said the court would fill with defendants like this girl if the sheriff's office were to arrest all the teens who make new photos to share with her love interest. Were such a standard to apply nationwide, you're talking about millions of kids being charged with child pornography, said psychologist Jeff Temple of the University of Texas Medical Branch. Temple said his research has found that 28% of the teens use their cell phones to send naked photos of themselves to other teens. So does a 2014 study published by researchers at Drexel University in Pennsylvania. The Fayetteville girl, Brianna Denson, was sexting with her boyfriend, Carnega Zion Kopanen. The sheriff's office said the agency hit Kopanen with survived sexual exploitation of a minor charges, 4 of possessing 2 sexually explicit pictures of himself, and last for possessing a copy of the picture that Denson made for him. Kopanen, who was 16 at the time, is now 17, also faced possible prison time and the requirement to register as a sex offender if convicted. Charges have already forced him off the football team at Jack Britt High School. He had been the quarterback. That's crazy. That seemed like overkill. Psychologist Michael Duran of Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne said when she learned the potential criminal consequence for Denson and Kopanen, Duran also had studied sexting among young people. It's becoming a way that people are initiating sexual contact with one another, Duran said. She described it as the equivalent of second base in the old baseball metaphor for sexual activity. It has become a way that people are initiating sexual contact with one another. Okay, I already said that. One thing I definitely would say that sexting has become so intertwined with budding sexuality that I think these are exactly the people who are going to be sending these pictures, she said. Although the pictures are illegal, sexual intercourse between 16-year-old teen is not. The age of consent for sexual activity in North Carolina is 16, and it dips younger than for teens who are less than 4 years apart in age. In interviews on Tuesday, Sheriff's Office lawyer Ronnie Mitchell and Cumberland County District Attorney Bill Lee West wouldn't say whether they think it's good public policy to use this law to arrest and prosecute consensually sexting teens, and say it is their agency's job to enforce the law as written. The Sheriff's Office investigates sexting incidents several times a month. Mitchell estimated more frequently than we would like, he said. The investigations usually are into instances in which photos are shared among a group instead of just within a couple. He said, to his knowledge, Jensen's and Kopanen's pictures weren't shared with anyone else. He said they were discovered during the investigation of other explicit photos that were being shared among teens without the consent of the person or persons pictured. West will not comment on the specifics on the Denson and Kopanen cases. However, he said in cases where the defendants and victims were willing participants and close in age, his office typically lets them plead guilty to a misdemeanor with a defendant deferred prosecution. Yeah, a bunch of vultures. That's all I gotta say. This is how Denson is settling her case. In court on July 21st, Denson told District Court Judge Stephen Stokes that she was responsible for the crime of disseminating harmful material to minors. There's a misdemeanor and does not have a life-ruining requirement that she is registered as a sex offender. When her West's assistants dropped the felony sexual exploitation charges, Stokes put Denson on probation for a year. He ordered to pay her to pay $200 in court costs, stay in school, take a class on how to make good decisions, refrain from using illegal drugs or alcohol, not possess a cellular phone for duration of probation, and do 30 hours of community service. Good grief. Is that town going broke? Please, that county going broke. Stokes, embassy here, no, she shouldn't have been charged in the first place, researchers Temple and Duran said. It seems to me that you might be among the strictest of the laws that I heard of in the country, Duran said. Drorin said. Copenhagen's case is still pending. The Drexel study in 2014 in 20 states and the U.S. Territory of Guam have eased their laws in recent years to account for the sexting activities of teens. Young people have been sharing naked pictures themselves for centuries, Temple said. Before the invention of the camera, he said, they drew or painted pictures of themselves in their love letters. The difference is now the images that spread so quickly and easily with modern technology, Temple said. Instead of punishing young people, Temple said our research should be more on education and not punishment with this type of sexting. More education with respect to actual sexual behavior, and more importantly, can't say this enough, it's more information on a healthy relationship and what healthy relationships look like with adolescents. This is by staff writer Paul Wolverton. So, this is pretty disturbing. And like I said, not have to really agree with their actions, the young couple's actions. But this is like far off exploitation 101, possible thought criminals, mind control. And Fayetteville and the Cumberland County need to be ashamed of themselves. I just had that question for those vultures over there. Or is your county or town going broke? Are you planning to put young people in private prisons? Do you have a contract with CCA or Geo Group that they need people in prison over this? This is downright degrading and unacceptable. All right. Usually something like that. How about people in Cumberland County go to your offices and take a dump on it? Use it as an outhouse. Hey, you're crapping on the people in that county. And that league is okay for them to give you that in return, because your attributes is absolutely ludicrous. If there is rape and so forth, like sexual assault, that's a whole different ball game. But based on this report, this is totally different. And don't get me wrong, the naked body's beautiful. They've been the old Greek Olympic Games, early before the first century CE or AD. You had athletes being naked, running around. Track and field, wrestling, doesn't matter. It's like the body was beautiful. But I always recommend to all these folks trying to get too crazy about it. But the fact is, it's been practiced for centuries, paintings and all that. So I'm just pretty damn annoyed when you got these clowns that are saying, oh, we got to do these exploitation. Let's go to North Carolina. We need to have these laws passed because we need the money. And I assume we have a contract with Geo Group and the Corrections Corporations of America. Allegedly. I would say that. Allegedly. So, if he has to get tried as an adult, I think the jury should nullify it. No victim. No crime. But always, folks, be responsible. Okay? Alright. How come? Yeah, just one moment, please. Boom. Yeah, so that's what I gotta say about that. And let me just do something for a moment. Alright, well, next one here came from the Cato Institute. Cato at Liberty. It's entitled Center for Immigration Studies Report Exaggerates Immigrant Welfare Use. This is done by Alex Rausteth. And as it reads here, Center for Immigration Studies, or CIS, released a new report this morning on immigrant welfare use. CIS found that immigrants use far more welfare than natives do. CIS methodology, parts of which are suspect, which is what produced this result. As we point out to CIS multiple times, they also omitted a lot of information would make for a better comparison between immigrants and natives. Simply put, the CIS studies does not compare apples to apples, but rather apples to elephants. The first issue. One moment.
Area 51 for decades. Tonight.
Good. Sorry about that. The first issue. One home. I'm just gonna make this safe. Thank you. Boom. Alright, now I can say here. The first issue is that CIS counts the welfare use of households, which includes many native-born American citizens rather than individuals. There might be some good reasons to do this, but the immigrant-headed household variable CIS use is ambiguous, poorly defined, and less used in modern research for those reasons. To CIS credit, they try to separate out households with children, but didn't separate out American-born spouses. There is a debate largely over whether to account the American-born children of immigrants as a welfare cost of immigration. If we should count them, shouldn't we also count the welfare use of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren of immigrants? Yeah, hold on here, folks. Okay, good. Got that out of the way here. Such a way, counting would obvious produce a negative. I don't know why I've been getting delays here. And it looks like man. Won't be back. Yeah, well, I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, I've been getting too many crashes and delays on the internet, so I do apologize for that. I will try to make sure I add the last article on that, on the immigration. You could just read it yourselves. But thereafter, thanks for listening. Plus, feel free to download and circulate this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, love letters, hate letters, or you want to send me information, please, you can feel free to hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Spreaker, or send your comments to iHeartRadio or YouTube. I haven't used YouTube. I got back to using it again. Or you can email me at lokiluck3@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.